Hey YouTube, this is David, Richter Scale Studios, and this is part 2 of the Dust Tactics proxy tank traps. Here's the one from the manufacturer, and this is the one I designed on Tinkercad and printed out on my PrinterBot Metal Plus. What I'm doing right now, especially when I'm using a .02 print, or 0.2 millimeter print, so there is a lot of layers involved, so it kind of takes away from some of it. I don't know if you can really see that on, yeah, you probably can see that. It looks like a topographic map, what you'd see like on a, an old map from school showing elevations of hills and stuff. I don't know if that was the guy that contributed this to Tinkercad, that was his idea for this, which is kind of cool. I mean, for my purposes of throwing something really easy together without a lot of knowledge of 3D modeling, what I'm doing right now is just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. I'm not too concerned about the concrete part, but the bottom part, I want to get rid of some of those layers and give it some texture. So what I'm doing is I have some tacky glue here in a little container, and these I saved from a little Mexican restaurant I go to quite often, so I have a ton of these around. They're very handy for all kinds of things. I've used them for drying those land speeders when I was gluing in those footsteps to keep them suspended. So what I'm going to do, and then I have I think this was an old spice shaker filled with super fine craft sand. And especially dealing with 28 millimeter and wargaming models, a lot of that play sand, that's more like rocks, and look for the scale of it. So what I'm going to do is get this all moved around here. So move this back a little bit. There we go. Just gonna, and I'm using a really cheap brush that I don't care if it cleans up afterwards nice, I'll go back into a junk bin, and if it doesn't, we just toss it, no big deal. I want to get a nice coating of this on. I should have thinned it out, but I think this will give it more grip. And since this is sand, we're not really too concerned about it being a little messy with it, but we're trying to keep it off the bottom. I don't want, for these sides, I want it all kind of integrated with sand. Let's get some into these little grooves here. Okay, now we got the spice shaker sand, and this we can just I moved it over the bowl so I can replace it into the shaker later. And there we go. Let's run my finger over the bottom so we don't have any weird so that's nice and cleaned up, all that. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll come back. Let's see a little area right here, these corners. This is where it gets messy when you have to come back and get the sand mixed in your brush. There's little dabs here and there, and then I'm just going to put it into the. Actually, it's going to work or not. So I think that'll work out. Whoa, excuse me. So we'll let that dry, then come back. I might do another coat on it, or probably not. That's good. And then we'll come prime these things, and I'm gonna paint. We'll paint these side by side, and maybe I'll print another one of these out too, so I get enough of these to play with. And I'm still waiting for the second half of my Kickstarter to get my dice and templates to be able to play the game. But that is it for right now, and we'll see you in the next section. Thanks. Hey YouTube, welcome back to part 2. Everything's primed. I used Krylon Camouflage Ultra Flat Black, really good primer. Real simple to use, rattle can. Went downstairs, no cleaning the airbrush, and no fuss. Also, I'm going to come back in a second. These are little crates, or I don't know, they're crates, they're not foot lockers. These are huge compared to the soldiers. You can see that I have these primed up. These came with the same grain plastic as these did. And I'm going to make one of my own versions also, and I'm putting these up on Thingiverse too to kind of share these with the community. This got a little detail on it. I'm not doing the lettering. I'm doing a little hook on it. I'm doing a little bit of detail, but I'm going to do a removable lid. These are just solid. So we'll be back in a second. I'll show you what I'm designing and printing out right now. Okay, we're back. We're going to start painting right now. I'm going to start with some Cloudy Gray from Reaper. Mix it up with some water and some golden airbrush medium to keep the pigment together. Just a little bit of distilled water. Then I'm going to highlight it with a little bit of this heavy gray, which I thinned out also. So we're going to go in. I may have thinned it out a little too much. Do light coats, and then I want to make sure I leave some of the darkness in. Well, I'm going to paint this up, and then I'll come back and show you what it turned out like. Be back in a second. Well, here's a little test run. I just did some fading with the two colors. Did the Cloudy Gray, and I used the black primer in the background to do some shading. And I like that little warm gray, kind of gave it a little bit of a pop. And obviously we're going to go and do some other washes and some other highlighting on it. But I think overall that's a cool little look for it. And I'll show you the, I don't know about my, my compressor. I think it's about to die. But I got another one right next to it that'll, I don't know, maybe this is auto shut off. I'm not sure. Okay. But that's the little 3D printed one. And yeah, I just did some natural shading with it. And we'll be back in a second and get some more of this stuff done. So there we are with just primer and two rather easy colors to get a hold on to. This could be an ivory with a little bit of gray in it if you wanted to use a different warm gray, or don't have it. I think the colors turned out pretty cool. And then we're going to do some washes on it, and we're not going to do any chipping on it because obviously it's chipped and it's not painted. I'll do a wash and some edge highlighting on the cracks and stuff. That'll be kind of cool. And then I got to detail the metal holder on the one I made. So we'll be back and show you what it looks like. Thanks. Okay, we are back. I'm just going to start doing the ground on these things. I got busted out the Game Air. We got the favorite charred brown, some earth, and some khaki. And I'm just going to run some really quick coats on this stuff. Then we're going to, if we have to do washes, and probably some dry brushing too, I can imagine. Oh, you hear what I have in these things. I put 8mm hematite beads. You can get these on eBay for like $4 for 50, or maybe even cheaper than, I forgot what they were. Maybe $2 for 50. They work really good in these dropper bottles to keep everything kind of like the same when you think about a paint can, rattle can. Gets all the pigments off the bottom and mixes all the the acrylics and the suspension in it. Yeah, so we got some color coming out. Nice. So we're just gonna do these all on camera. And if there's any overspray or anything, we can come in and fix it later. So we're going to do lots of touch-up. This is a real quick painting for the tabletop, or not. It's not for competitive diorama. This is using the airbrush as a quick tool. See, we're ready to go. We got some ground. I think some wash is going to help that tremendously too. And why this magnet doesn't want to grab. Let's get this one going. Trying to get some more paint going in a second. Probably running out of paint. This is technically a detail brush I'm working, but we are working with small items. So when you do have like a little 1/4 inch work spot, it actually works pretty good. Just keep your brush moving. Try to get all that gray overspray off. We don't want to get all the black off the ends. I'm going to finish this little coat, then I'll do the earth coat and come in and show you what it was highlighted with the khaki. Okay, we're back. I went in with the earth, and you can see how we have like some nice differentiation on the colors. And now I got khaki, which is a little bit lighter than the earth. Kind of a nice graduation to go up, and we're just going to hit the very edges of these areas, and just get maybe the middles where the sun would hit. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera there. This is kind of, and with the airbrush, it does take practice. Just get a piece of paper. I actually did a class not too long ago with Mr. Justin where we're painting coloring books. Sounds silly, but it gets your muscle memory down, and you know where your brush is going to hit. That's maybe one reason why I use this brush quite often. I like how I have a good memory with it, or muscle memory. And this one is obviously a little bit different, a lot more ground. So I kind of just went over look at the topography itself, and you can kind of just go in. What I'm doing is kind of, you can see my finger. I'm letting air on the whole time, then going in and just kind of get little spots of where I want it to hit. Leave the air on, and you can see how I just kind of, my finger moving back and forth. And then I can add more color if I need to add more light. Then on these edges here, I want to get a little bit of, go around the whole thing and just get these edges a little bit right on the corners. There. I'm gonna go and finish this last one, then I think we'll end part 2 here, then we'll go on to probably seal these and do some oil washes or another wash. I'll think about that tool and I'll explain it to you on the next part. Also, I was using the game colors. I needed to thin them out a little bit. I do dig this golden airbrush medium. Just put a couple drops for like this highlight. I did maybe 1.5 drops of this, 2 drops to 3 drops of the khaki, and you saw it sprayed really nicely, and I still have a bunch left. So that's another thing, when you have when you're painting like this, you're in no rush. I have a board also. I just go in and just try to just practice a little bit, squigglies, and still trying to get a dagger stroke down. So that is it for right now, and we'll see you in part 3. Thanks again.